Hi and welcome to my channel. I'm Peyton and this is the 26 books I want to read in 2026. It's kind of crazy when another year comes to an end because it almost feels anticlimactic. Like I feel like there should be more dramatic ending and a more dramatic new beginning. But here we are, and it's a whole nother year to get to read a bunch of new books. And so here are the 26 books I want to read. And they're kind of separated into two categories in a way. The first half of the list is books that are already out that I want to read, and then the second half of the list are books that have yet to be released that I would love to read in this new year. So to start off this list is a reread, and that is The Hunger Games. And I know that's such like a basic book to read, I guess. I did read the books in like middle school or high school, and I watched the movie so many times. But with the new movie coming out and like the new books that are that have been released, the two other books, I just wanted to reread them and watch the new movies and be able to understand what was actually going on. So yes. So currently I'm reading the second book in the Hunger Games trilogy. And so in 2026, I want to read The Mockingjay, which is the third book. And so after that, I wanted to pick up The Ballads of Songbirds and Snakes. And I got this book at a thrift store, I think, for like $1, like years ago. And I just never read it. Now that I am rereading the Hunger Games trilogy, I am going to eventually pick this book up. And my husband, my loving husband, knows that I'm rereading these books, and so he got me The Sunrise on the Reaping for Christmas, and this is like this really pretty copy. Isn't it so pretty? And even like the inside, like that is just so gorgeous. And so I'm really excited to read this one. I think I'm like really excited for this one because this one, I do know that this one is Haymitch's story and of him in the Hunger Games. And as I'm rereading the trilogy and I'm like reading about Haymitch, and like there's these little kind of like Easter eggs about his time in the Hunger Games, I'm really looking forward to picking this book up and reading about his time in the games. And then the next book we have The Will of the Many, and I've been seeing a lot about this book specifically as the second book just got released. And this isn't necessarily something I would normally pick up, but I have been really wanting to expand the genres that I read from. So in this list, there's a lot of things that I don't normally pick or wouldn't normally gravitate towards, because I guess that's a New Year's resolution if you do those things. But I guess it's that my New Year's resolution is to read books outside of my genre or outside of my comfort zone to become a bigger and better person, you know? So The Will of the Many is on that list. And this, it says like a little blurb: at the elite Kettinen Academy, a young fugitive uncovers layered mysteries and world-changing secrets. And a thing about me is if there's dragons or a school setting, like an academy, I'm excited. It's something that I'd be interested in. So I am excited to get into this book, and it seems like it has a lot of action and probably will keep me entertained. So yeah, I guess you could say another resolution is to read more books on my bookshelves. And that would be The God of the Woods. It would be in that category. I've had this book on my bookshelf since whenever this was given for Book of the Month, July 2024, and have yet to read it, but I think it's like a mystery or thriller type of thing. Yeah, I think it's like a thriller mystery type book. Let's read it. When a teenager vanishes from her Adirondack. Yeah. When a teenager vanishes from her Adirondack summer camp, two worlds collide. So thrillers and like mystery books aren't necessarily something that I gravitate towards, because the ones that I have read, I've loved. Like I have enjoyed some like thriller books, but the thing is that I'm very bored like during like the majority of it, but then by the end and you see that twist, it's like, okay, I did enjoy this book, but it just took me a while to get there, you know? So The God of the Woods is on which number is this? So The God of Woods is number 5 in the books I want to read in 2026. And then another book that has been sitting on my shelf is Five Broken Blades. I have picked this one up so many times to read, and I just for some reason haven't gotten into it. It's not even that I start reading it. It's just I read like the blurb and I'm just like, I'm not in the mood for this book right now. But it seems like something I would be interested in. The thing is, I'm pretty sure all the chapters are in different point of views, and when books have like those different point of views, I just get really confused because I don't pay attention to who's actually narrating the chapter, and so I just kind of lose the plot because I don't know who's talking because I don't pay attention. So this is the year of growth, and I'm going to hopefully read Five Broken Blades by Mai Corland. And then number 7 on the list is The Raven Scholar. Another book that I have seen a lot about, and the little blurb that it says of what this book is about is a masterfully woven and playfully inventive tale of imperial intrigue, cutthroat competition, and one scholar's quest to uncover the truth. Seems like academia, adventure, intrigue. Sign me up. So that's number 7 on the list of books I want to read. Number 8 is another book that wouldn't normally be something that I would pick up, but as I'm trying to grow and evolve, I have put this on the list, and that is Dungeon Crawler Carl by Matt Dinniman. One reason why I almost didn't put this book on the list is because of how big the books are and that there's quite a few of them. And I just don't know if I really want to get into a series that big and long. But here we are putting it on the list. And so let's read a little bit of what this book is about. A man, his ex-girlfriend's cat, a sadistic game show unlike anything in the universe, a dungeon crawler where survival depends on killing your prey in the most entertaining ways possible. It seems like it'll be really funny because there's a cat sidekick, but also not normally something I would pick up, but I am excited to eventually find my way into this book. And the next 2 books are nonfiction Christian books, and that first one is The Awe of God, and this one I have started. I've gotten this far into it before, but it's kind of like a devotional. It's written as like a devotional where like the days, you have like week 1, day 1, week 1, day 2, and so you make it easier to get through. And I just want to be able to tell myself that I read this book. I do want to read more books that are kind of like devotional type things, or things that have theological topics that are maybe a little bit more difficult to understand, because I want to grow in my walk and my faith, and I think reading some of these books is a great way to do that. I have a lot of books that have theological topics like this, and I don't always finish them. Like, I read my Bible all the time, and I'm very, very dedicated to my faith. But when it comes to reading books like this, I struggle to get through them, but I enjoy them. So this is added to the list of books I want to read in 2026 because, again, growth. We are prioritizing growth this year. And, oh gosh, the next book is along those same lines, The Insanity of God, the true story of faith resurrected. And I'm pretty sure, from what I know about this book, I have read part of it, but I don't remember, and I want to reread it. And it's about faith, and it's about the stories of, I'm not even sure if it's just one person. No, it says followers of Christ and their walks in faith, and just how they have persevered, in the stories of how God has worked in their lives. I'm pretty sure that's what this book is about, and I think it will be very encouraging. I feel like this book is one that you will finish it and you'll just be like, I need to do more for my faith. I need to be a louder Christian. So this was number 10 in the books I want to read. And now we have gotten through all of the books that are already released, and now we are getting into the books that have yet to be released and are going to be released in the year 2026. And the first one is And Now Back to You, which is book 2 in the Heartstrings books by B.K. Borison. And this is expected to be released February 24th. And I read the first book in this series, which is, hold on, I forget what it's called. I guess it's a duology. I don't know if it's a duology or if it's more than that, but it's called And Now Back to You. No, what is it? I just literally just looked at First Time Caller. It's called First Time Caller. I would say that First Time Caller is probably one of my favorite rom-com books. I loved the dynamic between the two main characters. Just how the way they spoke, and I loved the whole aspect of like a talk show or like a radio show, and the dynamic between the two characters of like she was a mechanic and he was a radio host, and how they interacted in their lives and like how their jobs interacted. And I just really enjoyed that book. And that was the first ever book I've read by B.K. Borison, the only book actually. And so I am looking forward to reading another book by her and seeing if like the way she writes and the things I loved in First Time Caller are things that are in this other book by her. Book number 12 is The Astral Library by Kate Quinn. This is the blurb. This is what it says about what this book is about. Have you ever wished that you could live inside a book? Welcome to the Astral Library, where books are not just objects, but doors to new worlds, new lives, and new futures. That sounds like a really fun time. I like the idea of like a library where you could actually travel into the books. And I wish that was a thing that was true. I wish I could do that, the amount of books I would be traveling into. And this book is said to be released February 17th. And it is a historical fiction, which I'm not really a person that reads historical fiction, or really just regular fiction books. I'm more into like fantasy and romance books, so this is kind of out of my comfort zone, out of my genre that I usually reach for. So yeah. Number 13 is Every Version of You by Natalie Messier. Yes, and this is said to be released July 7th, and it is a time travel romance. Joey Vasquez's life is the definition of good on paper. At 32, she's a Los Angeles lawyer on the cusp of making partner, but while she's a professional success, she's a personal disaster. Her social life mostly consists of nights spent watching TV with her elderly cat. Life isn't quite what she dreamed when she was younger, but really whose life is. But a dinner party with the best friend she secretly pined after for years, and its aftermath changes everything. When Joey is giving a second chance at life, she finds herself in college again. Armed with memories from her first life, Joey is certain she's come back to finally convince the one man she ever loved to love her back. So why does she find herself strangely drawn to the man she thought she hated? I think that last line is what made me put this on this list. The fact that she ends up with the person that she never thought she would ever be with, which is just an interesting dynamic, I think. I think there are quite a bit of time travel books on this list for 2026. Not just time travel, but just like traveling, like the Astral Library, how the main character's traveling into the books, or time traveling to what is it, college? I'm almost finished with college, and I would probably not choose to live it over again. I think one time is enough. For me, at least. Number 14 is Thistlemarsh, which is by Maria Corrigan. And this is a historical fiction fantasy romance. And it is about, this is what it says. Fairies disappeared over 100 years ago as suddenly as slipping through a doorway. It was only the very foolish or the very determined who held out hope for their return. Welcome to Thistlemarsh, a ramshackle estate where an impoverished orphan and a beguiling fairy collide in an enchanting novel of love, revenge, and ruin. Oh, I just read that it's in the wake of World War I. How interesting. That will be an adventure. Fairies in World War One. And this is said to be released April 21st. Moving down the list, we are on number 15, and it is the book Our Perfect Storm by Carly Fortune. And this is the author of Every Summer After and One Golden Summer, which I haven't read either of those books, but I don't think that's a requirement for reading this one. It is about best friends who have 1 week in paradise to fix their friendship or fall apart. And it is a contemporary romance, summer romance, whatever you want to call it. Did I say what? No. And it's said to be released May 5th. I have like friends who have read Every Summer After or One Golden Summer, and they said that they loved it. I have not reached for it. I don't really have a reason why I haven't read it. Just for some reason I haven't picked it up. But I think that if I pick this book up and I really enjoy it, I'll probably end up picking those two up. Or if you're watching this and you think that I should read those ones first, let me know. And I'll pick those ones up instead of this one, or hopefully just get to all of them in 2026. We got a whole year to read books. Come on, let's read all of them. And then we now have the 16th book on this list, which is Mad Mabel. I read the synopsis for this book and I was like, I have to put this on the list. Not only does it sound awesome, not only is the cover beautiful, I think the cover is so pretty. It says there are two kinds of people no one expects to be. Little girls or old ladies. What does that even mean? Sorry, the dogs are walking around. They want to say hello. But they're probably going to take a while to actually lay down, so you'll probably hear little puppy feet walking around. And Elise Mabel Fitzpatrick, once a little girl and now an old lady, has a strange history of people in her life coming to a foul end. Very intriguing. So, it is a crime thriller, mystery thriller, and not something I would normally pick up, but I think will be very fun. I like the idea of an old woman being accused of murder. Not like it. I shouldn't say like it. That's probably not something to like, but it seems like an interesting theme of an old woman murdering people. Very interesting. And this is said to release April 21st. Number 17 is The Calamity Club by Catherine Stockett. And this is also the author of The Help. And I have not read The Help, but the cover of this book is so pretty. Like a bird and the blue flowers. Very, very pretty. And this is a book about unbreakable women fighting for what's rightfully theirs and the power of friendship to change everything. It's set in 1933 Oxford, Mississippi. The Calamity Club will make you laugh, cry, and cheer. An epic testament of resilience, friendship, and the fierce, funny women who know that calamity can be the spark of new beginnings. And which is another historical fiction. There's lots of historical fiction in these lists, which is again a theme that I don't usually go for in books, but trying to grow. So I think that's the theme of 2026 is growth, as I've said before. And this is the expected publication date of the Calamity Club is April 7th. Number 18 is a new book by Colleen Hoover. Colleen Hoover will never stop writing books. I don't know how many books she's written, but I feel like every time I turn around, she's written another one. And her last thriller that she wrote, I never read, but I did hear some good things about it. Some people didn't like it, some people did, but I never read it because, again, thrillers are just not something that I usually go for, but this is a thriller by her. It's about a frustrated author who looks for her muse in a remote hideaway, but what she finds defies all expectations and reality. We got a detective, we got research, we got a thriller. I think this will be a good one, and I'm very excited to read another Colleen Hoover book. All the books I've read by her inevitably make me cry, so I don't know if her thrillers are as tear-jerking, but her romance books definitely are. And then the next book is a debut novel by a YouTuber, and that is Just Friends by Haley Pham, and it is a second chance romance about childhood friends reconnecting as adults. And when I saw that she was coming out with a book, I was very interested to read it, because sometimes debut novels can feel almost kind of childish in the way they're written, but I'm interested to see how she writes and in this summer romance. And yeah, I'm excited to read it, but my expectations are kind of low for this one because it's a debut novel. Sometimes they can be great and amazing, and sometimes they can just be you're dipping your toe in the water and you're trying to figure out, an author's trying to figure out what they're looking for, what their style is. And so this is said to be published on March 3rd. The next book is definitely one that I think is going to be very different, and that is Graceless Heart by Isabel Ibanez. I'm not sure. This is a historical what the heck? This is a historical fiction fantasy romance. I can't say all those words together apparently. It is a romance set in Renaissance Italy, which I think that will be a lot of fun. I don't think I've ever read a book that was set in Renaissance Italy, and especially not a fantasy one. Currently, I'm not really in the mood to read a huge, long series, so finding like a standalone fantasy book I think is right on my alley. And so this is about a girl named Ravina Maffei, and she enters a competition hosted by a secretive immortal family who offers an invaluable boon to the victor. Desperate to win so she can save her brother, Ravina reveals a rare magical talent, a dangerous act in a city where magic is forbidden. Her revelation makes her a target, and she is kidnapped by the Luni family and taken to Florence, a city of breathtaking beauty and cutthroat ambition. It seems like it has a lot of normal fantasy themes of having this secret magical talent and then being taken captive and trying to hide it or something like that. But the fact that it's in Renaissance Italy does sound like it's going to be a little bit different and have that different atmosphere. Number 21 on this list, we're getting to the end, is Once and Again by Rebecca Sterrell. And this is by the author who also wrote In 5 Years, which is a book that I have and have yet to read. So maybe having this on my list will encourage me to read another book off my bookshelf. This is about the women in the Novak family who were, oh my gosh, wait, I don't think I actually said what the publication date was for Graceless Heart, but that is January 13th. And now let's go back to Once and Again. And this is about women in the Novak family who are each born with a gift. They can just once turn back time. It's about the main character, whose name is Lauren, and she has known since she was 15 that her mother, Marcella, saved Lauren's father from a deadly car accident. Dave is alive and happy and out on Malibu waves, but ever since Marcella, her power spent, has lived in fear that what she won't be able to reverse. Her own mother, Sylvia, is a polar opposite, a free-spirited iconoclast. I've never seen that word before. With a glamorous past she has only hints at. Lauren has spent her life between these two role models and waiting for her own catastrophe. I can't read today. Catastrophe to strike. And that is said to be published March 10th. And despite not being able to read the synopsis, I am very excited for this book. The next book, The River She Became by Emily Varga. This is a YA fantasy romance. It's about a relic hunter who searches for an ancient fae object to restore the magic to her world, but must learn to trust her own powers and her heart. And this book is said to be published June 30th. And it says, Yasima, which I'm guessing is the girl, is a brilliant scholar and loyal servant of the Empire, or so they think. By day, she catalogs the fae relics of her conquered kingdom, but by night she reclaims the artifacts in secret to restore magic to her dying land. I like the idea of restoring relics and artifacts and having to go searching for them. I think that'll be very interesting and exciting. Number 23 on this list is another book that I wouldn't normally pick up and I have seen, and as I was trying to pick books for this list, I came across this one again, read the synopsis, and was like, what the heck, I think this will be fun, and something that I've never picked up before, and something that I don't gravitate towards, but I think will be a lot of fun to expand my horizons when it comes to books, and that is Just Watch Me by Lori Tornberg. And this is it's a debut novel about a charismatic misfit who live streams her life for 7 days and nights to raise money to save her comatose sister. A poignant and darkly funny exploration of grief, forgiveness, and redemption. And from the synopsis, this girl goes online, live streams her life to raise money for her sister, and it just goes through her life and shows it. And I think there's a lot of growth that you see in just watching her life and her character. It is a literary fiction. Like, I think this one will be really interesting as social media is such a big part of life right now. And then we have a book on this list by Lynn Painter, and that is First and Forever, which is a sports romance. And I have begun to really love Lynn Painter. I've read some of her YA romance, like, like Better Than the Movies or Fake Skating. I recently read Fake Skating and I really enjoyed it. So when I saw that a book by Lynn Painter was coming out in 2026, I just put it on the list because I think this is an adult romance, but there's also fake dating, and Lynn Painter does fake dating so well. So it's expected to come out May 12th. And I haven't read an adult romance, I have only read the YA romances, so I'm interested to see if I like her adult romances or if it's simply just the YA ones. But this is what the blurb says. A football star and a die-hard fan entangled in a PR stunt that only one side knows is fake. What does that mean? I'm hoping that this book just isn't really repetitive, like sports romances, fake dating, those like themes are very redundant, very overused. And so I'm interested to see if this book is like that, of like, oh, I've read this before, or if it's has something new. And I think the fact that only one side knows is fake, like I feel like that being a theme in the book also is going to make it something new and not like you've read it a million times, you know? Number 25 is a book by Elise Kova, and that is Dragon Curse, and this is said to be released January 6th. Now, I have never read a book by Elise Kova, and that is because I just didn't think that they would really be up my alley. I thought they might have themes that I really wasn't interested in, and so I almost didn't put this book on the list, but I saw that it was a YA, so I was like, it might not have the themes that I'm trying to stay away from. And it is a fantasy romance about dragons. So when I first saw this, I was like, oh, I want to read that. And then I was like, I might not. It might not be something that I really want to be putting in my mind. And then I saw that it was a YA, so I was like, okay, I'll give it a chance. And it's kind of tentative. But it is also paranormal romance. So who knows? Who knows? So it is on this list, but I'm not sure if I'm really going to be getting to it. But if it does if it doesn't have themes that I want to stay away from, then I probably will read it, because it does have things that I'm interested in, like dragons. And now we have finally come to number 26 of the 26 books I want to read in 2026. And if you have made it this far into this video, thank you so much for watching. I'm very excited to continue making videos and reading books. It is a lot of fun and I'm really enjoying this process. Thank you for sticking around and watching me talk about books, because I'm really having a lot of fun, and I hope you are too. But number 26 is My Husband's Wife by Alice Feeney. This is another book that I kept coming across and kept being like, I don't really want to put this on the list, but I actually stopped, read the synopsis, and actually thought about whether I wanted to read it or not. And I got probably a paragraph into the synopsis and was like, I'm adding this to the list. Because it looks very interesting, and it is a mystery thriller. And I'm just going to read the first paragraph. I'm going to read to you what got me hooked. Eden Fox, an artist on the brink of her big break, sets off for a run before her first exhibition. When she returns to the home she recently moved into, Spyglass, an enchanting old house in Hope Falls, nothing is as it should be. Her key doesn't fit. A woman, eerily similar to her, answers the door, and her husband insists that the stranger is his wife. One house, one husband, two women, someone is lying. And that's all I read. And I was like, yes, add it to the list. That sounds very interesting. It almost reminds me of, what book is it? Okay, I realized what book it is. It's Rebecca. It reminds me of Rebecca. If you haven't read Rebecca, I'm not going to spoil it for you. But also, I've never really read any like thriller books about like a man and a wife. And so that is one I've read about a man and a wife, I'm pretty sure. And I really enjoyed it, but for some reason it just reminded me of that. And also it's been a really long time since I've read Rebecca, so I might be mistaken, but I'm just gonna say that's kind of what it reminded me of. And so I added it to the list because I really enjoyed Rebecca. It was very hard to get through, and that's just kind of what happens when I read thrillers. It's just not a genre that I love, but I enjoy the books when I finish them. Not just to say I'm done with this book, but because I just enjoy the like mental exercise when you're reading thrillers of like, who did it? Let me try to figure it out in my head. It's a psychological masterpiece. That's what it says. And this is said to be released January 20th. All right, those are the completed 26 books I want to read in 2026. It is an ambitious list, a lot of books. I don't even know if I read 20 books last year. It was a very busy year. And I don't even know if I'm going to get through all of these books this year, but I am excited to hopefully get to them. But thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye.